watching people go to Red Note and say, oh my God, they're so much better. They don't even have homeless people, has convinced me that people will believe anything. Yeah, folks are real gullible. Yeah, I watched some of those videos of folks being completely credulous. Like, yo, they have homeless people in China. Come on. Every society does. It's just that a lot of societies put their homeless people in prison or work camps. They shuttle them off to places where they are out of sight, out of mind. In fact, one of the things I say about living in Portland is that we have the same problems as everywhere else. It's just that in some ways, those problems feel more authentic because they are out in the open where we can all see it. We are forced to confront the reality of American society and the homeless crisis in Portland because of our mild climate and our inept city government, housing crisis here, mental health crisis, the fact that so many of our veterans are homeless, the fact that a large portion of our homeless population are street youth that came from either foster care or unsafe situations where their parents were abusive, they were anti-LGBTQ, from elsewhere in Oregon and Washington, right? A lot of the Portland street youth are from rural Oregon. So we see all of these problems of the toxic dynamics in conservative rural Oregon pushed into Portland. We see the traumatized, unsafe kids pushed into Portland where they become part of our homeless community. It's not hidden. It's here for us to confront in our faces. And I respect that a lot. These problems exist everywhere. As much as tankies would like us to think that China is some kind of utopia, as much as they want to hide and minimize the human rights violations that happen there, as if they think the messaging isn't carefully controlled, what people are exposed to isn't carefully controlled. Too busy getting off on the little red book like it's a smutty novel, wishing Stalin was their secret boyfriend. I am all for cultural exchange. I think Americans, we need our horizons broadened greatly. We don't travel very much, partially because we can't get any time off work here. We're working ourselves to the bone. We're all struggling to make ends. We don't have time to go backpack around or like travel the world like a lot of Europeans do. Also, just because America's really big, so what time we do have off, we often spend traveling within our own borders. But I think more cultural exchange would be really good for us. But yeah, watching people go to Xiaohongshu and feel like it is some kind of utopia over there in China, just because things are real bad here. And maybe the scales are falling from people's eyes a little bit and the patriotism is waning and we are realizing that America is not really the land of the free and we don't really have the quality of life that we deserve, that the immense wealth of this country is consolidated amongst a few. Because we are becoming more aware of that reality. That doesn't mean that because it's bad here, that everybody else has their problems figured out and has all the solutions, especially not countries that are essentially capitalist and authoritarian at the same time. Because a problem is out of sight doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And it doesn't mean that if a solution has been enacted, that it is one that is ethical nor just. IDK, it's hard to explain to Americans how underdeveloped America is, but trust me, this is a person who lives in Japan. America is simply behind in terms of development. You think we don't know. You think we don't know here in America what our own lived experience is. You think we don't know that things are not as they should be. You think we aren't keenly aware of the ways we are denied basic rights and services that would improve our quality of life and that folks in other countries have access to. You think we don't know about our lack of infrastructure, our lack of universal health care, our lack of social services, our woefully underfunded public education. I promise you the last thing we need is a lecture on our own living conditions, on how a handful of greedy men who are now running the plutocracy that is America are depriving 300 plus million of us of the quality of life that we could have and we deserve. I'm just going to read you my last two posts on Blue Sky, which perfectly respond to your comment here. Credulous folks saying that Xiaohongshu taught them that China doesn't have homeless people and praising China to the skies would do well to check their fetishization/Orientalism and also Google coffin housing. Also, acting like Chinese Little Red Book influencers' content is the universal Chinese experience is like believing all those big, wealthy, Nepo baby US TikTok influencers represent the American experience. Hello, white European woman from the small homogenous country of Denmark who would like to lecture me about the American experience. You say, I invite you to reflect on your own indoctrination. Your problems are right now humongous. Are you fucking kidding me with this paternalistic shit? Like, how dare you? How dare you? I don't care if I get flack for this, but how about Europeans keep America out of their mouths? unless you're here to offer support, allyship, empathy. You think we don't know that our problems are humongous? How dare you from your cushy, democratic socialist country sit here and presume to lecture us like we don't know what we're living through right now? This comment is left on a video where I said that folks should be a little bit more skeptical about what they see on Little Red Book and stop acting like China is a communist utopia. From that, you presume that I need to reflect on my own indoctrination because I just simply said, the grass isn't greener on the other side, and what you see social media influencers presenting is not an accurate picture. And also maybe there's a little fetishization of Chinese folks, a little Orientalism going on, and that's gross. That folks are going to Xiaohongshu and listening to what influencers over there are saying, that we don't have any homeless people, and thinking that that is an accurate portrayal of the Chinese experience. As if folks who come to this app and look at giant Nepo baby TikTok creators in America making content from their, luxurious homes in Southern California and think like, that's an accurate portrayal of the American experience. I then proceeded to list the myriad problems contributing to the homeless crisis here in the US, which is extremely prominent and in your face in my city of Portland, Oregon. And from that video, you chose to leave this comment. How is this helpful? How is this helpful? What were you hoping for by leaving this comment? It's giving smug paternalism. It's also giving a tremendous amount of presumption that you arrogantly presume to know what we're living. You arrogantly presume to know that we aren't aware of the propaganda in the US that I was openly criticizing in that video. And worst of all, that we here in America, where hundreds of millions of people are barely able to sleep at night, where every day is a new tidal wave of horrors, as we watch our rights systematically pulled out from underneath us, where we have witnessed the ascendancy of a fascist plutocracy, where we are all, you said you're very familiar with my content, so you should know where we, including me, are vigorously pushing back against the incoming oppression. And where folks like myself have been creating content for years that is highly critical of America, our legacy of colonialism and genocide, our funding of wars, our exploitation of people here and abroad, the corrupt and oppressive system of capitalism, the billionaires here continuing to enrich themselves off of our blood, sweat, labor, life hours. Yeah, I'm mad at this comment. I'm pissed about it. This is a time for you to be offering empathy and showing solidarity, not to presume to smugly lecture us, not to sit here and tell us about how significant, overwhelming, humongous our problems are, as if we don't know, as if we are not scared shitless about what is being unleashed on this nation, as if we do not live in fear for ourselves and our neighbors, and understand that that fear will only become amplified over the coming years. Think about what you want to be contributing, what your goals are when you leave comments like this, and whether those goals align with your values.